Hi, I'm Brendan Fehr.
And I'm Majandra Delfino. A decade or two ago,
Closer to 3, really.
a while back, we starred in the cult hit WB show Roswell.
And while we are in fact ex-co-stars, we are also actual exes in real life.
Boyfriend and girlfriend exes.
Unnecessary clarification, but welcome to the X-Files, where we analyze all things Roswell. Episodes, co-stars, guest stars, and all the goings-on in front of the camera and behind the scenes.
In our probe, we may or may not agree, we may or may not get along, but if our history is any indication, we will most certainly dig up old stuff from the past and throw down. With guests, old and new, weighing in on who was right and who was wrong.
Oh, if we remember it, we're going to talk about it.
And if we don't remember, it's all good, because I kept my teenage diary to cross-reference, corroborate, confirm.
Wait, what?
Correct. So be prepared to pick a side.
Your actual diary, like, for real.
Having a change of heart?
More like a change of underwear.
Welcome
to the X-Files.
So you hate me?
Can you not hear me?
Yeah.
Oh.
That was going to be my introduction.
What?
That was my intro to the episode. So she hates me. This is not a good start to the episode.
Also just nothing new. Nothing new.
I know, but usually hide it so much better. And now everyone knows now.
They've known.
You're like, I tell everyone.
I've told them every episode.
I can't stand this guy.
Ugh.
Could you stand the episode?
Definitely could stand it. I wanted to see more.
Okay,
I mean, listen, Katie, a star, you know?
I mean, truly, like, was built for, not just built to do that. Like,
anything.
I mean, she is, yeah, it is for anything. You are correct. You know what I don't have in front of me?
The rest of your life.
So we're doing I Married an Alien.
Yeah, Married an Alien. Original air date, January 29th, 2002. Written by Ronald D. Moore and directed by Patrick Norris. Logline. Isabel imagines what her life with Jesse would be like if it were a sitcom. Jesse's college buddy, Eric, writes a story that threatens to expose the truth about the alien teens.
Okay. Where do we start with this episode?
Well,
we kind of started with Katie, fucking star.
Yeah, my first note was, which feels appropriate, Michael coming in, porn. Just, it's the start of a porn. You know, he comes in like with the
backwards hat.
Yeah, and just like, I'm here to paint, but gosh, so surly, so not happy to be painting at all.
No, and that's one of my first.
Doesn't have to paint.
I know, that's my first. I mean, we got to put on the effect for Jessie, right? So we got to have our painting clothes on and do the towels and all that. But what I started up, gee, what the fuck just happened here?
Well, it's funny you do that because I'd like to know about the hat.
I'm getting attacked by my hat. I don't know what is going on. I just lost a fight with my headphones and hat.
It would be great, too, if you just fell out of frame.
That was wild. The painting, the powers. So it's one of my... How? Where did this... I know we're a little bit in a different arena with the episode being like part sitcom and we're taking chances. It's third season, so maybe some have evolved, but I'm not understanding this. I'm not understanding the powers in this episode where she can fix a carburetor or whatever. Like, this doesn't track with me.
Or which makes sense, and that's why we go out of order to kind of keep ourselves on our toes. But it was it was just so strange how moody he was, which I guess makes sense because he was in a bad place. But
Yeah.
like,
He's watching Bewitched because Maria and him have broken up, and I mean,
and the rights to Bewitched were available. But it was...
That's my second thing, is how many TV shows do you think they asked before they got one that said yes?
Well, it's funny because it's such a perfect fit that it's like either Bewitched or I Dream of Jeannie.
Yeah, I feel like I'd be interested.
They're like, all we got was Kings of Queens.
Exactly.
They have to go with that.
It's funny because it fits so perfectly, but we just know how things go, like picking a song, your ideal thing that you write, and then you never get, and then no one ever knows what you originally wanted. So,
right.
So it all makes sense, but this makes so much fucking sense.
My question to you is, what era do you think we were playing?
The 70s, probably. I'm going to go...
That's so interesting. I thought 50s. And it's the 60s. So right in between.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because 70s, I feel like the ladies weren't...
I was going to say early 70s, but maybe... when did that show air?
Like, I thought Bewitched was more 50s, 60s, but...
You could be right.
It
was a great fit, though.
Yeah. Oh, perfect.
And...
Faded.
Being early on, we're animated. Or, yeah, you're animated as well, but you see the three aliens animated. Mm-hmm. And I thought I remember thinking that was, like, awesome when I watched it. But he had a real... Michael with the hair had a real Shaggy vibe from Scooby-Doo, but, like, mellowed, like, without, like... It was like bizarro Shaggy when I saw him.
Yeah, that's nice of you.
Oh.
To say. I just was flabbergasted that they made Michael such a dum-dum.
What do you... Wait, in the acting?
The character portrayal of 1960s Michael. I was like,
I think I did that.
Oh.
I think that was my choice. Well, no, because it... And he was a dum-dum. I going back watching it. Well, let's wait until we go through our notes a little bit. I was really digging the sitcom. I thought it was like we could have pulled off a spin-off with a fucking sitcom. It was just fun. I don't know. Maybe that's going too far. That's not like Kyle has got a real entrance.
I've never felt like something was more natural. I was like, yes. I don't remember doing any of this, but that was a moment when he walked in where I've never felt more aligned.
And it's funny because I felt like when he walked in, I was a little rewatching it. I was a little pissed. I was like, no, I'm the Fonz. Because he gave me a very Fonzarelli.
Yeah.
The way he, and I went, no, that's Michael. Michael's the leather jacket wearing Fonz. But didn't work out that way. But it was fucking great.
Look, when you came in, it felt like a porn. So I've heard on Howard Stern. It's like set up. You were resentful, moody. I wrote nice nose. But yeah, there was no world in which you were Fonz. That was Nick. When he walked in, I was like, wow.
Well, in the episode, but in all the other ones, I feel like Michael's that moody. Like in all the other episodes, like...
Yeah, like I couldn't...
Maybe not. I don't, yeah.
No, but I couldn't align the Michael in the sitcom with the Michael that says Samantha is in a non-secular world, a modern day Athena. Like, how is that the same guy who's like, yeah, what? And does like a really lazy Who's on Third.
Yeah, it wasn't. I remember, well, one of my notes is, have you look fantastic.
Is that about you? You're like,
no,
nice
that's
nose.
about you.
Oh, that's so nice. Wait, before we get there, I have a note.
Okay.
And this may open,
noting me to death. We're just noting each other to death.
This may open a tab that we don't that we want to close.
Oh my!
But Isabel's titties.
I'm not recording.
Oh no!
I'm kidding.
Also on that note,
I'm kidding.
But truly, Isabel's boobs. Okay.
Oh,
this was the first time in my life.
I'm into this tab. I'm into this tab.
Open private tab.
Yeah. Let's make this
pretzel KT. I don't know. Anyway.
Clear cache. Clear all history. Clear all history.
I don't even know what to call it.
We're on the computer. Where's that?
The headphones bring you down. Okay, no, but I really did write Isabel's titties, which is so unfortunate that that's what I call them. But I've never in my life watched something and thought to myself, it was just a realization of, oh, that's so crazy. Men have a girlfriend or a wife with boobs, and they
you have
touching them all the time.
But you have boobs.
I know, but I'm not. I don't live outside of my. Thank you.
Need I remind you?
You got boobs.
You got boobs.
You got boobs. Like, kind of don't.
Yeah. I know. I'm like you.
Technically, the glands. But meaning, I've never seen a person and wondered how is he not touching her boobs. Like. Suddenly,
oh, I see. Like, how is Jesse just not
mean?
grabbing him at every turn and corner in the show? Like, if your wife had a set of had a front porch like that.
Yeah, where I was like, wow, that's tough. Like, to not just be, and then that's obviously upsetting, and maybe that's how you learn not to do that. But it was, I finally understood. Where I was like, that's.
So you envisioned? Oh, you saw what men see. You caught a glimpse of like.
Yeah, like they're there. Why aren't you touching them? And he was just like, bye, like leaving for work. And I was like, it is his right to touch those boobs. It's wild. And then I was like, Majandra, shush. So that was a big awakening.
Chris Palaha was the detective. And I didn't know him at the time.
We're already there. We're with him.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good buddy of mine. He went to the same church I did in L.A.
Oh boy,
we don't have to already be there.
No, because we can be, but I just after my Isabel's titties notes, it says sausage fling, practical, which I loved. That sausage that started to float through the air was practical.
I was like, whose sausage is flinging? I mean, maybe every. Wait.
Like what?
Wait.
No, but that thing was truly just like being on a fishing line, you know? And I love that.
I think the fishing line was meant to be seen.
I didn't see it.
Oh, it was all over the place. I think it was meant to be seen, where I was like, oh, that's part of the charm of like going back to when the filament. But yes.
Yeah, and then my note after that is just Kyle. Because I mean, what an entrance. All right, now I'm caught up.
So I will say, being at this point, I say the back and forth was tough for me in terms of going from Michael, like, how do I play this guy the same way I play Michael, but differentiate it? And I was just so amazed. I shouldn't say amazed. I was so struck by the choice that I had made with the 60s Michael.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't know if the lines begged or offered up a different incarnation of the 90s, early aughts Michael. I didn't know if.
I mean, they were like two very different. What's the movie with Michael Keaton where he's like a bunch of dumb Multiplicity? It was like Michael's 10th clone.
Yeah, and I think I was just trying to have fun with it, and I was trying to figure out how do I date Michael? Mm-hmm. Like, what did that look like back in the 60s? What did this brooding kind of Neanderthal look like back in the 60s? And I couldn't.
No.
I couldn't find it, right? Or I didn't have the tools to find it. I don't know now.
I feel like you didn't have the tools though because you were given very specific confines. He would have been more. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. The poor young man who died in a car accident and everyone loves him. James Dean. That would have been, brooding, curmudgeon-y.
But the line readings were so. I was given like, look at my. What do I
exactly.
say?
I mean, already.
Wait, what do I say? I say, I wrote it down here. I'm like, oh, my yo-yo was caught in the warp drive. I just, when I read them, whenever I read a script or anything, the words really inform me. The writers can say, they can write a whole bunch of like what he looks like or who he is, and what he's supposed to be. But when you start reading dialogue and how he interacts with people and chooses to not react and all that stuff, I have an instinct that is really hard to let go of for me, where I just go like, no, this is the way I see the character.
Right.
You can refine it and do all that stuff.
I mean,
but like my yo-yo was stuck
line?
in the hard. My yo-yo was stuck in the warp drive. I think was like that was the line everything was based on, and I went, oh, I'm just gonna play him like a dum-dum. Like I'm gonna.
Yeah.
And for me back then, that was fun because as you know, I don't know if we've talked about it on this podcast before, but we have in cons and interviews. I thought I was going to be a big movie star and everything else. And so the reason I changed my hair was because I didn't want to be pigeonholed into one thing. And I thought this was a great opportunity for me to go like, let me try a totally different character while quote unquote being stuck in this show and see what I can do to expand my acting horizons of sorts.
Yeah, but there's only so much you can do.
And so then I made him a real dum-dum. And I don't know if that was, I mean, it was a lot of fun. I don't know if it was the right choice looking back on it. Because it certainly, everyone else is still within, even Max, like, it's funny, all the boys got dumber and all the women got a little, I wouldn't say smarter, but they all maintained their intelligence for the most part. And all the boys got dumb. Like even Jason is just a little bit more like, trying to play it. And
yeah, Jason was like an elitist. He was so like anti-human and snobby and
right, but it still didn't look like there was a lot going through his brain.
Yeah.
And so and Kyle either. Like, can you fix my carburetor? Like whatever he does.
That was a Tom of Finland, some multiverse was going on there.
But looking back, all the guys in a way more sexist era got dumber. And maybe we probably were back then. But that was a really interesting note where I was just like, oh, all the guys have just gone to this like different lower level. And it was fun to watch. But that was interesting. I don't think
that Maria was in a higher, like I wrote Maria full blackout peppy version. I don't remember that at all. That was a full blackout. And then total juxtaposition. She's in real life depressed. She's sitting there. She's like, but then if I see him, and then Isabel's like, that leads to sex. So I wrote, get that D, girl. I don't think she does. And then I wrote really big caps, which takes us to your friend. I wrote, who the fuck is that? Eric, yikes. Matt Drudge report vibes. Just the hat,
Yeah.
Oh.
I think that's what they were trying to tie in. You're trying to tie something in like he wears they wanted him to have that classic detective hat in the 60s. And
right,
so they're like, we have to give him a hat in the 90s then.
If you don't know that that's coming.
100%.
Because I don't remember a thing. I was shocked. And then my next note is just Pepe Maria exits into a wall. And now I don't know if you saw that, but Kyle and Maria exit. And
yes, you basically stop at like outside.
I literally put my hands up and press myself up against a wall.
Not the first time.
Not the first time, but cut away. Cut away.
And then I wrote, I didn't know this is where I always remembered that where I'm asked if I want a mulligan and I say I don't do drugs. Because obviously I'm a prolific. I wouldn't prolific is really I was really setting myself up there. I'm an avid golfer.
Prolific.
No, neither would I. I almost did.
I would say.
Oh, well, I'm avid. And even back then, my swing was fucking sweet. When I rewatched this, I took a video of the screen and sent it to all my golfer buddies. And it was like, what's happened to my swing? That's awesome.
So you. That is the most you thing.
But I wrote, Michael is he's got a very Happy Gilmore vibe.
Yeah.
On the golf course. Wait, what is it? What is this doing to you?
I have a couple notes before then.
Okay.
Because when Michael walked onto the golf course.
It's fucking great. 4-4, sorry, 4, whatever. He doesn't
and with
really.
The two clubs, like it's just
a putter and a 7-iron.
It's so perfect. It's so the character that like gives her pert plus, and it's like
100%.
Just real quick, one of the things Jason did that healed his face with a steak. Jason Baird has done that in real life. Jesse.
Wait, he's done that in real life?
Well, Jason and I had a night.
Oh my. Is this the diary entry?
A dear diary. Yesterday I died. No, he hurt himself. This is getting worse. Remember the champagne?
The champagne cork bottle.
Yeah, and then
piano.
the next morning was fine, and it like had some supernatural power vibe to it. But
okay.
One of the things that really got me was that Jesse goes to sleep late. Huh?
That wasn't party night though. Too. We got to cut that out.
I don't know. It wasn't. It was just a special night.
It was just a special night. Fair enough.
No, but when Jesse goes to sleep late, it really just it put me in an existential crisis. I was like, what is marriage? This is wild. That he goes to bed and she's like waiting up. She's like, kind of late, huh? That was wild. And she was barely married and already kind of like a beaten down housewife. But it was more of a bigger picture thing of that is so wild that you share a bed with a person and every night, despite what happens, you're just like, hey, sorry. You get in there. That was interesting to me. And just how sweet she was. She was a very, very good wife. She makes him breakfast before she heads to class.
Yeah, do we know what university she's going to? Because that was one where she wanted to go to Santa Fe University in one of the episodes, and he was a big asshole, and he was like, Santa Fe has a nightlife. And I was like, no, it doesn't, dude. There's a bunch of old people, like rich old people that like art.
Well, maybe for Roswell, but
compared to Roswell, sure. I forget I think we've done that. I think we've covered that anyways.
What if you were doing like secret side podcasts? Just covering these episodes by yourself.
With other people.
I absolutely love Michael on the golf course. I wrote Michael swing, holy shit, that would kill someone. Do you ever worry you're going to overshoot? Like it felt, I've never seen such power put behind a swing.
There's more, other people. It was a good swing. It was a very nice swing. It's a little short. I could walk through the whole stuff. It's a little hockey swing. It's a little short. It doesn't, my hands don't get here, right? I only kind of get kind of shoulder, but it's a very hockey player swing. A lot of them have that. And hockey bodes well for golf. Baseball doesn't so much.
Oh, listen, you lost me like 2 sentences ago, but it just looked dangerous. A lot of power.
We shot that on Griffith Park golf course, one of the LA City golf courses that I was on the board at for, 10 to 15 years. I was treasurer, and it's also where Babe Ruth found out he was traded to the Yankees. It's where he basically put the curse on Boston, where he was like, Boston's never going to win a World Series for 100 years. Babe Zahara, which is one of the greatest female golfers of all time. won a tournament there. So we have plaques all around kind of the course, which was part of our first year mandate to kind of the history of this course. It's really awesome. I know there's a lot of babes there. Not saying there wasn't. There wasn't a lot of babes there. I'm just saying
one thing it was missing was a lot of babes walking around. That's your
anyways.
Yeah, but that's where we hear like wonderful things in the sense that, like, from people that have like their pick of the litter, where it stands out as a great course. Where I'm like, oh, interesting.
Yeah, the architecture is phenomenal. It's so old school and great. It's not long, but it'll just all of a sudden, come up and bite you. So it's one of my favorites. And they have 2 courses there, Wilson and Harding, named after the presidents.
Yeah, I always go to I used to go to the little tennis courts there and have my ass handed to me.
All right, moving on to the episode.
Anyway,
enough about that.
No, I just wrote Glen Hills Country Club because it felt so un-New Mexico, where I was like, guys.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
Like opportunity to have a great name. I also wrote loved, very, very big, loved Bewitched era Liz. I loved Liz.
I agree. Yes.
I was like, yes. She had the most spunk. She was ready to party.
I was a week after. Oh, this is where we found out. I was found a week later after Max and Izzy. We've been talking about ages.
Mm-hmm.
So, in one of my comments, Isabel was 3 years older than Max.
Right.
And which is really interesting, because then I started to think, like, did they do tests on these people? Because remember in the pilot where it's under the microscope and she can't look, right? He's got to steal the other swab because he's got different DNA. Like, what happens when these kids go to the hospital? Like, what happened when they were found and probably got a little poked and prodded just to see if something was going on, and an x-ray here or a MRI there, or blood taken at some point.
I know.
Right? A lot of stuff we just kind of let go.
Yeah, that was more a sign of the times.
But because how do they know her age? Like, if they're found wandering in the middle of the desert, like, that's got to be medically.
Which age probably means nothing. It was more just like she presented more mature and adult and was put in a higher grade or whatever.
Maybe.
But you're right.
I was found a week later. So because I guess I ran away when the lights came and they were found, and then they found me a week later.
Just a dumb truly just looking for your yo-yo. I mean, it just, I can't get past I did right here. One, I wrote, your character in a golf game is everything. Like, meaning a person's character, what is shown in how they play golf is everything, right?
Yes, 100%. That's why you make business deals on the golf course.
Do you lie to yourself? So that Michael moved the trees. That was wild. But then I wrote, old school Michael shook me.
What does this
And then
mean?
it just says Hilda Fehr. The hair, like, you looked so like a little female doll. And it shook me. Like, I was like, who is that? And I was like, oh my God. I wrote, in what world does he translate as dumb? Impulsive, sure. Dumb? No.
I don't think he translates as dumb, but I didn't see any other way to read those lines. Like, I really didn't.
Brendan, because there is no other way.
So, I mean, there might be.
Okay. Well.
Okay, but this is another note where I was just like, I'm not the most, as we've talked about, sensitive or empathetic or anything, but I will, like, I have my ride or dies, but, like, I'll also, if my mom's wrong, right, in an argument, not with me, but with someone else, like, I am that person who says, like, Mom, you're wrong. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, the truth supersedes everything. What I think is, what I hope is true, whatever else. Okay, moving on.
Complicated relationship with the truth.
No, not with my mother. But then, how is Jesse laughing at this? Like, when Eric is telling him that he's going to write a story that his wife is an alien. and possibly ruin not only her life, but the other two aliens, her friends, and his, I was like, that's not the response. Like, I know they're drunk and they're laughing it off, but like, this guy wants to put your wife on the Inquirer, like in the tabloids.
I wrote, this friend of Jesse's is a real dick.
He is, but Jesse's also like, stand up for your wife. Like,
yeah,
if someone said they're going to write that about my wife, I'd be like, unless she was, or whatever. Whatever. I mean, not even if she was. You're right.
I think it's actually like, the opposite. It's that it's so ludicrous to Jesse that he's like, they're saying that you fly at night. Like, it's so wild. It's so
I know that's
not
what
a
it's
possibility.
supposed to. I know, but the longer it went on, I was just like, no,
so
dude,
uncomfortable.
this is the first time someone says that. You're like, oh, dude, okay, whatever, grabbing it. But then, like, he was on it all the time. Like, he was very persistent.
Yeah,
and
it's almost like
I was
the
just
way
like,
I
dude,
look...
I would punch this fucking guy out.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it was definitely wild. I think the only way to sort of suspend disbelief is that he's just really down and out and on his couch and is like, I just need a story. Are you guys cool if I like make something up? But she was so clear that she was uncomfortable. Yeah, I was not a fan.
Yeah, I didn't. And that was the other. Okay, so I'll skip past that thought. Sometimes that's good for me. I know, right?
No, I'm dying to know. Oh, Brendan, please.
It's not that good.
Okay. You're like, okay, so the Griffith. Go.
I was like, when I was treasurer,
Here's the thing about being a treasurer.
Here's what you have to do.
You know what treasure is, right?
Yeah.
Actually, like, no, I don't.
Could you imagine? I am very unclear about how I feel about this episode, in the sense that I enjoyed it very much. And then when towards the end, because it was so fun in the beginning. It's so fun. It's so different. It's this, and you're animated, and there's all this stuff. And then in the end, I said, I think the comedy in this case is taking away from the drama. Like, it's lessening it. The fact that this guy is going to expose us, and how close he got to exposing us. I mean, stealing all that. It almost worked against the stakes of the episode.
Yeah, it definitely had a vibe of like, we're at the end. We got the word. We're probably not on UPN for much longer. Also, UPN was like the third option. Let's write something fun. I mean, I was blown away with just the marijuana of it all. And 2001? Like, no?
In New Mexico?
Yeah, I mean, doesn't matter where, by the way. It could be Miami in the 80s, but meaning showing it on TV as like a vehicle to explain why this guy is not a reliable character. It just...
I think you're allowed to do that to who is supposed to be the
No, I know, but the fact that Jesse was like, I used to, or whatever. You know, I don't know. It just felt like they took a lot of allowances that felt
That's
more
when you know the writer
free.
used to. Right?
Yeah, or not. They're like, right? You like see aliens in golf courses, right? Like,
no, but that's where you're like, this is what I've always wanted to say. I smoke
Right.
pot. I've never been able to admit it, so I'm going to write it in a show.
I think they were smoking pot when they wrote this whole thing.
Probably. 100%.
I think maybe there was another production next door and like it was coming in through the air vent because it really was such a free wild card episode. And this was like before people did like the musicals or the claymation, or it felt very last hurrah.
But
I appreciated. Thank God.
But I liked it. I liked the effort.
Me too.
I didn't even mind the execution. I thought it was pretty well done, but I will say that that's my only note, is the high stakes that I think you constantly want to keep in a drama, because we're ultimately a drama, and you want to keep those stakes high. And we're in the third season where we've almost been canceled twice already.
Right.
Is like, it took away from that a little bit. And you can tell in closer to the third act, I think they get further away from the flashbacks to
Right.
more present day to try to, I think, end on that note for the next episode, which I don't know what that is because we don't do that much research on
It's
it.
River Dog.
Totally.
It's the balance.
I'm like, wait, I gotta reread this whole thing. But that was kind of my only downfall of this was, and it's just a really interesting question to ponder of trying something new. Stepping outside the box, I think, is always a good thing for both an actor and a production. But what are you sacrificing to do that? And I'm not saying this wasn't worth that sacrifice. Like, I think it probably was in the end. Just for the sheer entertainment value of it and stepping outside that box. But, looking at it kind of professionally, that struck me where I went, ooh, interesting. And did they know that?
Yeah, for some reason, it really did have a feeling to me of why not? Because, I mean, what are we? Like,
I mean, we have a dancing frog. We have a dancing frog. I don't know. What episode is this? Did you announce it when I told you to? Because I forgot my book?
It's season 3, Stephen. Slide this in earlier. Season 3, episode 11. No, I'm kidding. But no, meaning we have.
Yeah, we have 18 episodes in season 3. Right.
Yes. Just so slow as I flip through this book. Yeah, where it's like, I'm sure by now,
But this was the first year. So he's got 11 episodes in. This was the first year Ron Moore was the showrunner. Like, Kadams wasn't running it.
Yeah.
And it was just like a transition. If we get to season 4, I don't know. And I've never thought of this. I don't know if Jason Kadams stays on in season 4 if we ever make it. I think this might be a passing of the torch and Ron Moore takes over.
Once they pushed him around enough, like it's supposed to be a Fox show, then the WB, and now the UPN, I think he was out.
But what's so funny is what's so funny is you're just so lucky to be on TV, which none of us knew at the time.
No, but back then you weren't. Back then,
yeah, I think you were.
It's true.
I think we were just successful and didn't know it.
But I don't know. Back then, it was like people were mean to you when you were on TV. They were very selective about what movies you could be in because TV had a little bit of a stink on it,
Okay. Well,
it's true.
Speaking of back then.
Speaking of stink.
And stink. I was going to say, speaking of stink and back then and going back. We're not going back. We're not going back to the 60s or the 70s or the 50s with our guest. We're going back to the 80s. And he's banging those drums in front of all those crowds. He probably had a little stink to him, a little stank on that. But it is so when you die and I'm doing your eulogy, this isn't what I say, Mo.
I hope not. I mean,
she got a little stank
unless it's accurate. Please speak your truth.
A little stank. No, but this is a guy who has had a number of careers, both in front and behind the camera. He's one of my favorite people. I'll start with the bad stuff, but it's the good stuff. He did the music. He does the theme song for this podcast, and he scored Baron and Toluca. And I
can't believe that's the bad stuff here.
No, it's not, but I got to go to his good stuff. And then he also scored The Night Shift, where I first met him. But he was the drummer of Cinderella. I mean, that's the fucking great stuff. So this is my good friend, Fred Coury.
How are you?
Good.
Fantastic.
How is your back?
Much better, thank you very much.
Did you buy the book?
I did not buy the book. I did not. But it's on my plan to do so. I was listening to the Alex Van Halen book. So I need to get some. Right.
Well, you can't listen to I sent him every person that ever has any back or issues or knees or shoulders. I send them the Pain Free, the Dr. Vygotsky. Majandra, I have recommended this to you as well. Have I not at one point?
I mean, you haven't
And/or
sent
David?
it to me.
No, I've sent it to a lot of people, but I send them the link or
Right, the
whatever
link.
else.
Yeah.
But Fred, you can't, it's not an audio book. You have to do the exercises in it. Look at the heavy sigh.
Reading is what hurt his back. A lot of this,
Yeah. I mean, come on.
You look great.
I feel great.
Good. Is this your, where are you? Are you at home? Are you in your studio?
Yeah, this is the home studio.
Oh, nice.
Lucky.
And where are you guys, in your podcast studios?
Yeah, the garage, the back of the garage.
This is a garage. Mine's a corner in a room.
That's perfect, though. It looks.
We haven't made we're not, we weren't big, rock stars in,
and
touring the world.
I'm starting to realize,
and
that
everything else.
The window's it's closed for us,
I just can't get over how good Majandra's voice sounds. It's got all the richness of it's like a low end and high end. It's like EQ'd perfectly.
Oh, thank you.
It's amazing. It's got a mixer on I bet you on this side where we can't see, it's all glass and 15 consoles with 19 guys.
Shut up. It's a whole team.
The whole team.
We have been working on this. I'm on my third microphone based on this. So thanks for giving me a complex, Fred.
No, do you have the SM7? The SM7B? Well, that's what she has.
That's what I have.
That's what you have. That's the best mic you can have. I bought one of those for Gabe, by the way. I was like, Gabe, stop. Here, take this. He was like, but this one's like blue. And I was like, this is the one you want. What do you use in there?
I have the Shure. I don't know.
I think that's the same one. SM7B. Oh, no. That's like that's like a podcast. No.
Well, this one
was
nice
too.
Yeah, this was given. My husband was a guest on a podcast, and they sent 2 mics. They sent all the Zoom equipment because we live in Maine, so it's like, can't come in.
Michael Jackson, I think, did Thriller on that mic.
No way. Oh, God, see, that's why, Brendan. Maybe we should steal David's and send it to you.
It's great. If I have a singer that I just give him that mic.
Well, let's dive right into it because we've given you your introduction, Fred, already.
Oh,
everyone knows who you are, and we do have questions. But first and foremost, did you watch the episode?
I did watch the episode.
Wow, thank you, Fred. It's an interesting thing. Some people get through it, some don't. Some don't try to watch it all.
And some get good ones and some get not so good ones. And this was an interesting one when Majandra was like, what episode are you giving Fred? I said, I didn't know. And I kind of went through the list and I said, I Married an Alien has got this really, the whole throwback to Bewitched, and it's quirky and it's a little different. So even if it doesn't necessarily hold up or anything else, at least, it was entertaining. And I thought, just, you are, you're a drummer, you're a sound mixer, you play a bunch of instruments, you do voiceover, your voiceover career is really taken off. And so you got you do sports, for the Kings and the Trailblazers, you write the music for the arena and all that stuff. And so you have your fingers in all these kind of different pies, and you're always interested in something new and quirky and whatever else. And I thought, if anyone could maybe appreciate this, and I think other people could, but I was like, I think Fred might be able to see the quirkiness of this and have a interesting take on it.
It was very quirky. The first thing I noticed is how you were so ahead of your time, you personally. Because you were wearing Carhartt pants. And those Carhartt pants, at the time in the 80s, when we were going to truck stops for $69 for a whole outfit. And now Carhartt is the biggest fashion thing. Those pants are probably $700. And you were wearing them to paint, although you just did that paint. But I was like, he's fashion forward. And that made me very...
I have to give more credit to our wardrobe department because they were phenomenal throughout the scenes. And I mentioned earlier in the introduction, one of the interesting things of this was season 3. So this was the last season of the show, and I started off really vintage. All these kind of vintage button-up, short sleeve shirts, kind of 70s, just whatever else. So it was an interesting transition from the last one we had watched, where I went, oh, the wardrobe evolves too, because we probably had a different wardrobe lady on this particular one than the other seasons, but they were always great, and they were I think they were ahead of their time. I think they had a lot of fun with this.
This one was, really cool, because it was just all flashback, and not flashback, but just going into that Bewitched thing, and then back, and then back and forth. It was really, really interesting. But I noticed in so much of it, there was no music. And that was interesting to see. Like, really, no, like camera pans with nothing to support them in it. And it worked. It was very interesting, like really interesting TV.
Well, it was funny because, obviously, you did the score for B&T as well. And me and Majandra, due to budget constraints as well, but me and Majandra watched a few shows that we liked. We watched a few Moonlighting episodes and some other ones. And we always went like, we can get away with no music, right? Like in this scene, can't we just...
No music. It was so wild. These dry...
Isn't the scene
episodes
good enough with no score, no this? We have a score, and obviously you scored it in some of them, but we didn't score as much. And then when it's really well done, you can get away with none of that, and then just use that to enhance the moments that you want. Not every high point of a scene, not every third act of a scene, but when the scene doesn't quite come together, not that it's a bad scene, then I have rewatched some B&T and went, this would be nice with the score. Mm-hmm. We should have a little tickle of the ivories here somewhere.
Well, on this show, I was pulled into it a little more with the no music. Like you really there was nothing to get in the way. It didn't need support. All right. So that a lot of the time, music is there to support what you're seeing, or to tell you how to feel, or to go against how you feel, really to lead the audience, or to really hit a moment home. And this, without it, was so interesting because it really pulled you into it even more. Like I felt like I was in the scene with them. It was interesting. I hadn't seen like a big show that did that, and that was one.
And do you think that was more a sign of the early aughts? Were things a little drier back then musically?
I don't know, because the things. Was that Snuffy Walden that did that show?
Mm-hmm.
So some of them had it, but not that sparse, I don't think, because the other shows that like Mike Post would do, there was still music in them. And if there was, if there was a moment or a camera move, the music would kind of at least be in there doing something. This was really, really sparse, and was really effective.
Joe Williams, he was the composer, if that's the right terminology. And he would always have to do these very sort of like creepy alien sort of like rattle thing. And I guess because this episode didn't really call for that.
I'd have to, I'm gonna go back and watch now, because that really did kind of pique my interest. I thought it was just because, comedies generally, or little, shows like Bewitched or I Dream of Jeannie or this and that, it's dry. And still to this day, sitcoms are dry, and those were sitcoms. So that was a real sitcom inside of your show. And they played it like that. I mean, towards the end of the episode, it got more music heavy and got kind of more normal, like TV, which I thought was interesting as well. And they were bringing the darker moment. It's funny, they used that music to bring the darker, or more, not sinister, but the more questionable, puzzling moments together. So that was
the
suspicious,
really cool. The suspicion
Yeah.
To bring up that. Have you ever been given a scene in a show that you've done and said, like, I don't think this needs music? Like, let's keep it dry?
I have, yeah. And sometimes it's worked. Sometimes they've agreed, and sometimes they said, no, we want something there.
Okay.
Sometimes there are pieces that you think, oh, this needs a song. It doesn't need score. Like, they'll be, let's score this. And it's like, no, it needs a song. Like in our show, we had a lot of songs.
Speaking of music on this show, when it aired, it was the part of what the fans, and this is back in the 90s and the 2000s, they loved the soundtrack. They loved all the original songs. And back then, I guess you only signed a contract for 3-5 years for a song. They didn't, when you licensed it, it wasn't for the entirety. And so everything on DVD has some original songs than the original airing, and people will buy them and go, no, this isn't the scene. This isn't, Crash Into Me, Dave Matthews was at the end of the pilot.
It has like a pivotal scene.
And it's beautiful and it works, and it's, it was, a huge success, the pilot and the show, and it's what kind of shot us into whatever stratosphere or atmosphere or however high we got. And then when it came out, people were like, I don't even know what song it is. And it really is amazing how you attach a song, even a score, right? The most famous scores to a particular scene or a TV show. And it's just so powerful. And for this show, unfortunately, we just don't have those rights. There's a few people I know who have, like VHS tapings of the originals, so they can play them with the original score, but it's not really findable.
That's interesting. It's licensing. Right.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah. I don't think that happens so much now because they'll write it into the deal if there's something to do with a DVD or if it's going to be broadcast. Like, I don't even know how it works if things are broadcast in other countries. Like some
that's a good point.
countries, I think it's my music, but I don't know if they swap it all out someplace,
And how do you check whether it's playing and whether you even got the appropriate reimbursements?
Yeah, you kind of never really know. It's like, it's the Wild West outside of the United States. Like Canada's fine, Germany, France, Italy, usually pretty good. But there are some places out there that are like, there's some music and it's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Well, I asked Majandra the other episode that we did whether she got residuals for, and I don't know, royalties. I don't know, music, I guess it's called royalties, but royalties for her song in Roswell. And she was just like, never seen a dime. Don't know.
Well, that also tells you everything that my song was still in there on Hulu.
Yeah. Oh, you should find out and go after it, because I'm sure that there are a couple of funds. There's a film music fund. Right. And a secondary markets fund.
Okay.
And you should go onto those and type in. I did it. I typed in my name. It's like I played on the Sam Kinison record. There was a bunch of money in there, and then I just played drums on Hannah Montana and this other, like what's it called, the High School Musical. I played on those movies, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we've been looking for you."
Oh my gosh.
And then all of a sudden they start sending you checks, and like the dictator. I just got a check from a dictator for like, I don't know, $10.
Wow.
It was like,
go buy some lotto
years
tickets.
Ago. That's
new
exactly.
mics for everyone. Yeah.
That's really
exactly.
Good.
Well, I just assumed that they had bought me out or whatever in the initial thing, because I think I pretty much begged them to put the song in. So who knows? But
there is the old buyout too. There's the old. Yeah, I think that was MTV.
I'm pretty sure, Fred, that I paid them to put my song in.
That's what MTV used to say at the beginning when they get people on. They'd be like, "We won't make you rich, but we'll make you famous," and was basically it. They wouldn't pay in; they would just throw it in there. So
wow,
interesting.
Yeah.
We had and I was going to get you to listen to them because I wanted your opinion on it. Just going back, being a prolific drummer, you, not me. We had a discussion about in an earlier podcast about Vanessa Carlton's 1,000 Miles, and how I think it was a whatever top 10 hit. Maybe it was number 1. I don't know, but it was very famous and whatever else. And I was listening to a podcast where there was a drummer on, or someone who was musically inclined, and he said the thing about that song that no one ever talks about is it's the drumming that makes it incredible. And I guess all drummers kind of recognize I don't know what to even call it, the beat, the rhythm, the technique of this particular song for some reason, and it stands out. And they could be dead wrong, but in this particular podcast, they said like, this is prolific drumming. And it's the Vanessa Carlton 1,000 Miles song, which, and she was known for her piano, right? It was all her and kind of the piano, and everything else was kind of secondary. But apparently, so I've always been intrigued just because I know nothing about it, and I hear it and I go, yeah, that's good, right? So I wanted to ask you to have listened to it so I could ask your opinion on it, to be like, is that something, like, why is this special?
I wish you had, because not knowing it and not having it right here in the,
Well, we'll follow up. Up, and then I'll get an answer for everybody else on what you say. But
one that is Rosanna by Toto, and they call it the Jeff Porcaro beat, and and all drummers know that beat, and 99.8% of them play it incorrectly, me being one of them. And there are so many videos explaining how he does it and why he was a master at doing that. And it's the Jeff Porcaro shuffle. It's just amazing. And it's the song Rosanna. But it's the same sort of thing.
Okay. And then there's one song, and I forget what it... Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
When
Majandra.
you talk about Rosanna, I'm like, yes, I know exactly what you mean, but I don't remember any drums in the Vanessa Carlton. I just think of... right? Isn't it the song?
I think so, yes.
Obviously, drums must come in at some point.
I don't know. So I failed. And then there's another song where the guitarist and you know a lot of these people, Fred, maybe, probably. But the guitarist of Guns N' Roses apparently had a hell of a time playing one of their songs live. Then they were just like, this guy can't do this song live. And I forget what song it was. Is there a song for Cinderella or any other bands or whatever you've played? I know you've filled in for some other people where you just went, this one kicks my ass every time. Like,
yeah, there's one, the Cinderella song. See, when you're in the studio, you can cut it any which way you want. You can do it in chunks. You can many different things. This one was so simple. It was called Second Wind, and it's just in that one groove that's just it's not fun to play. It's more that it's not like you can't do it. It's just not it's not fun to play for me. There's some songs that are super, super fun that might not be fun for the other guys, but not all of the songs are fun. It's like not, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Is it the
tempo?
Could be the tempo. It could just be, it's not slow enough to be slow, and it's not fast enough to be fast. It's kind of right in the middle, but it's still not a mid-tempo because it really wants to sit forward. And some of those are really uncomfortable.
And is that when you say not fun, is that when you can't let loose, where you're just like really like,
you just have to hold it together. Yeah, you have to just be focused, and with everything you have to be focused. But it was like unrewarding. Like, what's the point? For me, I never liked to play that song until the last tour, or maybe the second to last tour that we did. Something clicked, and it became such a blast to play. And I don't know what the shift was.
It was
but
your
it was
second
something.
wind.
It was
like
your
something-
second wind.
It was your literal. Wow, that's
Well
wild,
done.
Fred. I love too that right at the end you're like,
Right at
gosh,
the end.
darn it, where was this before?
Isn't that the way it always is? It's like, oh, I'm just getting the hang of it. It's like usually, 12th episode in my mind, 12th episode TV is like around episode 10. I'm like, oh, I'm kind of getting the hang of this.
Totally. Oh,
So, yeah.
What was the most fun song to play?
I like Falling Apart at the Seams. That was always fun. All the rest of them were really fun. Night Songs, that was really good. Yeah,
I
pretty
can't
much anything on
imagine
that.
something more terrifying, Fred, than having to keep the rhythm. There's like nowhere to hide if mistakes
Oh yeah,
are made.
I'm hiding behind all of the other guys and some drums. So that's why it's good. I couldn't imagine being the singer. Standing out there, you got nothing. It's just you
my
and
gosh,
nose.
I mean, you probably, it's like impossible for you to skip a beat, but
Oh no, I've fallen asleep. It's been He's sick because the show's got to go on. You could just have like the worst flu or something, and just off the side of the stage, just losing your mind, and you're just like sweating, and come up on stage and start playing. I remember once I was so in the zone that I was just totally grooving and just in it, and just everything was so easy, and I was just kind of daydreaming, and I think I just fell asleep, but not out of boredom. I just went into this little trance because it was so cool. It was one of those things. I kept going. And I look at the guys and they're all staring at me. I'm like, oh gosh, we were supposed to end this like 3 minutes ago.
that's a nightmare.
That only happened once.
Oh.
But I was sick, so could have been the Theraflu.
Exactly. Gosh, Theraflu was so great. You can't get it anymore.
No. You can't?
It's impossible. I think it just had ludicrous amounts of Tylenol in there or whatever it was, but it was always it really always did the trick too.
The best.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was the one.
That is one of those things.
But it doesn't oh, there goes Fred. I think his phone died. I know. Oh, here he is.
Oh. Hi. No,
please. By the way, it cost me $5,000, you guys.
Wait, what happened?
It cost me $5,000, and am I closer?
No, you're portrait mode. You gotta
how do I do this?
Your orientation is
perfect.
Switchy, don't worry.
Great. Why are you guys sideways? Okay, that's fine. Whatever. But you did. You cost me $5,000. You know why?
Why?
Well, because my laptop, this computer's new, and my laptop is so old that to use this Fakakta program, I had to change my Google Chrome, I had to change the Google.
Yeah, but it's just an update.
Yeah, but my computer's so old it wouldn't accept the update. So now nothing works. So
you're like, so I threw it out the window.
I'm going, it's not even here. It was right here. It's gone.
I know.
Well, we're back. We're here now.
Well, yeah, we are here now. Now, if someone asked you to fill in, would you fill in for what's the most amount of time you'd go on tour right now for a band? Or would you?
So I used to have like this, a main big computer and two, let's call them ancillary, because you can't say, whatever. So I would have 3 big computers. So to go on the road be so difficult to do. And laptops aren't strong enough to do what we do yet. So when Tommy broke his ribs, he fell down the stairs. I was talking to Nikki, And I said, hey, why didn't you call me to come out on the, he goes, you're in the middle of a TV show. How can you do that? And I used that as, of course, I get it. How do I need to make myself mobile just in case. So I just took the plunge and I said, after this, I bought the computer while I was in the middle of the season in preparation to take 3 machines down to 2 machines down to 1 machine. And now I'm just using a Mac Studio that's just decked out, top of the line, everything. And I made the switch at the end of the last season of the arc. And now I'm all Apple. And it's small and I can throw it in a backpack, even though it's not a laptop, because you just killed that tonight. But the Mac Studio is only this big. So now I could go out on the road for who knows how long. And if you notice in this room, I have no speakers. I did both seasons of TV with no speakers. I'm using these headphones from a company called Steven Slate. And it's called VSX. And it's an emulation of different studios.
Oh, wow.
And it's so incredible that everything is getting so small. The next laptop that comes out will probably be strong enough to handle everything that we're giving it. So to answer your question from 15 minutes ago, I could go out on the road indefinitely. And now we don't go to spotting sessions. It's all done like this over Zoom. So I could go out. Why?
That's amazing.
What do you got?
Yeah.
I don't play. I play with myself, and that's
He's
about it. I'm
doing
a
a-
solo
Let's start a
band.
band. Let's
a
go.
Vanessa Carlton cover
You
band.
don't want to be a part of that band, Fred. What band? Like, what band would be an absolute no-brainer? Like, what band would be your dream call? Like, it could be in their prime too, but one you just went, that would have been, because as a drummer, I think you think differently, correct, than what fans you're going to be thinking.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I could do
Sure. Yeah, because you're listening to drums, right? When you listen to a song.
Yeah. Well,
I think they have to be
had the
alive
dream
too,
gig.
Fred.
My gig was the dream gig, but I
Right.
think AC/DC would be a no-brainer.
Okay.
Motley Crue would be a no-brainer, just because those are the bands that I kind of modeled my drumming after. Like Tommy, I played note for note, exactly every inflection. Like, so that's what I do. And if I'm going to go and play in a band, I don't play myself. It's like a character. I don't play myself in the band. I play that drummer. So I really study them and I write down every single little part, every single inflection that they do. And then I listen to how they swing and I try to be that guy. So that the band, if they didn't turn around, they wouldn't notice it was somebody else. They would think it was their guy.
Wow.
And that's my job,
And that's the crazy thing is band, the way you hit, the cymbal, the snare, whatever else, even if you're hitting the same cymbal with the same, or the same snare with the same stick, there is a different vibe from drummer to drummer, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Every musician. So Eddie Van Halen could pick up one of the guitars that I have sitting here, and it would sound like Eddie Van Halen. That his tone.
Well, he would probably
comes from
sand
the
it and then
fingers.
saw it and then, do something. Because, he Frankensteined his guitars, did he not?
Yeah, but it's more in the way that he plays. So we were playing the China Club in New York City with my other band, with Steven from Rat. We had a band called Arcade. And Van Halen and Vince Neil were playing at Madison Square Garden. And they came over after the show. And Eddie got up on stage and plugged into our guitar player's regular little Strat and his crappy little amp. It was a nice amp. And
Yeah.
it sounded like Eddie Van Halen playing. It didn't sound like you or me or Majandra playing through that amp. It sounded like Eddie. And that was the moment. Like I've always heard the sound comes from the source. So you're absolutely right. It's how you hit it. You can pick up the same stick as I do and hit it the same way. It's going to sound different. But Eddie had a thing that it sounded so. Alex is the same thing. Alex band. Alex is as good as Eddie, except he was in a band with Eddie. So nobody knows that, right? Other drummers know how good he was, but
right.
But yeah, so you try to get. For me, I try to get as close as I can to that drummer and their feel as possible, even if it's one gig.
Wow.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
What drummer has the most personality? Where you just go like, that's like one of a kind.
Sound wise or playing wise?
Yeah, like for me, I can always tell, and part of it is their songs, and I know their songs already, but Tool, the guy from Tool, where you just go, I forget his name. There's a Drew in it, maybe not. But anyways.
The drummer or the singer?
The drummer.
Danny
Carey. Yeah, there you go. I was thinking Drew Carey.
Yeah, Drew Carey.
He loves when Drew Carey.
I love The Price is Right.
Yeah.
I knew I got the Drew instead of the Carey. But Danny Carey, I feel, has like a very specific way.
He does.
To me, for the music that I play. But who would yours be?
Well, for the old stuff, I'd say, well, the first one is Keith Moon, where you can recognize his playing just by his playing. You would go, oh, that's Keith Moon, just because he's just all over the place. Always playing, but there still is this groove in there. It's really incredible how he played. He was so busy, but there was still that 2 and 4 groove. You still bopped your head to this guy. And then you can tell Tommy Lee's playing. Bobby Blotzer from Rat was one that he has such a specific style to his playing. Bonham, of course. So there's so many of them, mainly rock guys, because that's what I know. For drummers, there are, nowadays, everything's Pro Tooled. Everybody's used samples, and they're the same samples that go from producer to producer. So they don't even sound like drums. They just sound great. They sound like explosions or, just fireworks. They're just so exciting, but they're not drums. And that's what bands are doing now. So I can't really tell a lot of the drummers from each other. Some you kind of can, but that's why I kind of choose the 80s guys, because that's what I know.
Right, because it's real. You can
Yeah,
rely
well,
on that.
but they had a style, just like I could tell the different bands from the singers back then, the 70s and the 80s, you can tell. And then now it's like, I really can't. So many of them I sound like an old guy. I am an old guy, but I sound like my own grandpa going, "Gosh, I can't tell the difference. Sounds like noise."
Well, you're in good company because we're the same. We're like, who?
Yeah, that's the other thing now is, man, I worked so frigging hard my whole life to just be a freight train. You know what I mean? And I practiced to hip hop records, and I practiced to metronomes, and that was my whole thing. I played to every hip hop record, and hip hop back then, when it was like just machines, like Public Enemy and NWA and the Fat Boys and all of that stuff from way back then, because it was all machines. And that's the blues to a drummer, because it's all drums. Maybe there are some instruments. So I love to play with machines, but they also had a life to them. And the way those guys programmed, they really felt alive. But they were so steady, and that's what I would play to all the time. I was proud to be so solid as a drummer. That's the one place where I had confidence. I'm solid. But now everybody plays to a click, so everybody's solid.
Right.
And now I'm just a guy with no chops. I can't make these throws. That's the only difference. It's like the rib got it all.
I remember in a band, I'm not going to say, meaning it's someone we know in common, Brendan and I, where they had a drummer and they're like, he's so good, but he just he can't keep the rhythm. I was like, wait, what? Like, isn't that the whole point?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's tough.
It was tough.
Well, what? Well, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I have to recall this in my head. But the
Are we off the air now?
No, not yet. I was gonna say
I did want to
cut that piece out.
You stopped yours?
I did want to say one last thing.
No,
before we
yeah,
stop.
we're not yet, but we will. We can edit it all. Go.
Fred, did you notice? Do you know who? I did not know who he was until we worked with him. But the dad in this episode that you watched that does the thing like with the cleaver and it turns into the bouquet of whatever is John Doe from X. Do you know who this is?
It is?
Yes.
Yeah.
From the band?
Yes.
Yeah.
He played her
I did
dad.
not know that.
Isn't that wild? Yeah.
I didn't know that. Was he on the show?
Yeah. He was just
he played her dad
the
entire series.
Oh my gosh.
He wasn't in every episode.
No, but whenever
obviously.
they needed her dad,
But
there was John Doe.
Well, how do I get in on that?
We're always wondering the same thing for ourselves.
That was why I started this whole thing, is that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
You wanted to be an actor?
Yes. I went to acting class. I was with Howard Fine. I was with all these things. I went to the new theater in Nashville when I lived there. I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. And gotta know when to hold them, know when to fold them. And I folded them and I was like, I got to get in TV somehow. So how am I going to do that? Oh, music. How can I get in music? Oh, I'm going to go to school for film composing. And that's how I did it.
Well, we're trying to still get into TV, Brendan and I. So
yeah, we're still trying to figure it out. We don't know when to fold them.
Right, you stick with me, I'll take you right to the middle. I promise.
I love that.
And on that note, the illustrious Fred Coury, one of my favorite people I can call. He's actually truly one of my really, really dearest friends. We don't necessarily talk that much, but he will always answer my call. I will always answer his, and we can share anything together. And those are the kind of people that you need around you. And the fact that he's a creative and he's just a genius is kind of a bonus on top of him being a phenomenal fucking person. So, Fred, thank you so much.
That's kind
I love you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fred.
Thank you very much.
Frederick, we might owe. Do we? He said we didn't break his computer, but if we did, we have to.
I think we did.
Split that.
Pretty sure we did.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I got an invoice for $5K.
Like, bing! It just goes up here.
Totally. It's
request. Just updating Chrome. But listen, the reason I was late for this podcast and you hated me was because I updated my dumb computer and it fucked up. The updates are, I don't know.
That's one of a few reasons, but no, Chrome is a joke. I hate it.
I know. I'm
Don't
still a
stop
Safari
forcing
guy.
Chrome on me.
What do you like? Do you like Safari?
Yeah.
I do Firefox too.
Ugh.
Just for no, sorry, I don't do Firefox. That's a complete lie. I just saw the thing, and why am I lying about that? No, I go Go Duck Go.
What? I've never heard of that. So to me, that is just wild. Or I'm like, what?
It's the privacy. It's like the ultimate private one where like nothing is retained. Not because.
But what are you doing, Brendan? What are you doing out there?
Nothing. But something. Could you imagine? No, it was just a matter of. By the way, though, I do Safari almost exclusively. And then I have but I have Go Duck Go attached to Safari, so they can't do stuff. It's a I don't know if you can do that, but anyways, I mean it is what it is. But yeah, I don't like Chrome, and then I don't know, Go Duck Go. I like their advertising got me in terms of how they advertise it, but their search
for you to say they have no advertising, but
their search.
Uh-huh.
Is awful. It's so bad where I'm just like, I'll search for something. And I was like, I'm getting nothing helpful. I'll go to Google and I'm like, oh yeah, that's what it is. Like, it's amazing actually how different it is.
I'm dying to know what is on the DuckDuckGo search history.
There's
like, what would bring you to have to? That's what's so great. Listen, as a creative person, we can Google whatever the fuck we want. It is not an implication of something.
But
over the past like 15
I'm a Safari guy.
years, I've had a couple friends who have had like real scares where they get emails saying like, we have footage of you and you don't realize, like, having visited sites that actually have recorded what you're doing while you're at the sites, right?
Right, sure.
And
you should put tape over your thing.
Yeah, well, I got one the other
like
day.
This. Oh, what site were you on?
And that was what was so beautiful, is that I was like,
oh, no, I know.
Hey, bro.
Yeah, do it.
First of all, do it.
Extort the money, put it out there.
Extort it. There is nothing. Like, maybe, not maybe, 100% was I.
She slips. She's like, man.
No, 100%.
She's like, oh, I just remembered.
Am I on any site and I'm like hardcore, like picking my nose? Sure. You know? That's
100%.
like, there's... yeah, 100%. Meaning there's no world, and it was just a nice feeling.
They leaked your OnlyFans. Just picking her nose hardcore.
Just me on like the New York Times cooking app, like picking my nose while I'm like, to get that and not feel any sense of panic.
Yeah.
That's my thing where I'm like, the things, and so I have had a hard time with like Chat GPT or whatever.
I've never even been on any of those.
Well, when I've tried in the sense of like, oh, this is an easier way to get a recipe or ask a question, it's judgy. It'll be like, if you're asking that, seek help. And I'm like, no. I'm like, no, you little bitch. Like, I'm like, it needs to know
it's just
that
recording
it's not here
how
to
you treat Chat GPT. And then they're like, you're an awful person. Like,
which I will sign, please record how I'm treating
I don't even speak to Siri or Alexa. Like, I refuse.
Oh, no, every day, I'd say every 2 days. I'm like, hey, shh. Because sometimes you'll say something, like set a timer, and it's a man, it's a South African man. He will decide at random, even though I've clicked the preferences all off, he will just decide to regale me with something. And I'm like, hey, buddy. He'll be like, did you know? And I'm like, hey, what did I tell you?
I just envisioned like a song.
It truly, listen, it's not beyond him to start singing.
That's
so
hilarious.
Annoying.
The only time I speak to Alexa is when I got to go to my kids' bedrooms in the morning and their alarms are going off and playing music and they're not getting up. And I'm like, Alexa, shut up.
You're like, Alexa, permission to come in?
Yeah.
It just sounded... Yeah, no, I'm very mean to Alexa.
Yeah. I don't even recognize them.
I'll be like, be better at your job. Like, I just...
Wow.
I dig it all out on him.
Anyways, that was great. It was really interesting what he said about the music, though. It's always funny, like, what our guests recognize.
Well, can I just say something?
About the show versus, like, what we're looking at. Yeah, go ahead.
I felt so stupid because my diary entry was so sad. It says, ready? It's so appropriate. I like Pro Tools as much... Brendan, you're going to make so much fun of me.
We haven't even gone over the diary. Yeah, well,
because it's only one sentence. It says, I like Pro Tools as much or more than tennis? ? And like at this point in my life, I'm not playing any tennis. So it's like, know thyself. But it's funny that was what was on my mind, and I didn't even think.
Well, when did you? You were because we might be broken up here. And you might be dating he who shall not be named by you. I'm fine with naming him. And
Alexa.
And
yeah, no,
you might have been working on your songs though at this point.
But I always was.
I know, but then now you're in it. But now if you're working with him, with like whatever, Anthony and Art, right? Like if you're in that
group. Yeah. No, but I think this is actually, because
then
I will tell you this.
You might be learning Pro Tools to go. When was it? Just to answer my question, when was your first CD released?
Season 1. Also, thank you so much for being a supporter.
I went to your concert. I brought you flowers. There's pictures on the internet.
Yeah.
And we weren't dating at that time.
Yeah. No, I think this was later, because I know that when we wrapped, everyone kind of gave like a little speech. And mine was like, I'm just so grateful to have met Brendan.
No, it wasn't.
It was. Isn't that so sad?
You dumb bitch.
I know. Dear diary.
Dear diary.
But yeah, there's no mention of you, which I think is good. I think that means it was good.
Yeah, so wait, you put out 2, how many CDs? 3?
Just full stop.
No, but the 6?
Mm-hmm. And then Tart after. Yeah. But that was after we wrapped.
Yeah, but I think you might be getting into that off of this, given that we have 7 episodes left, and then you're getting into Pro Tools and you're finding your thing and you're like
100%. After this wraps, I go and I become like Pro Tools certified.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's where that comes from.
Yeah.
Well,
but I mean, more than tennis, like relax. Like maybe say I like Pro Tools as much or more than breakfast or something that I like really every day practiced and loved. But
right,
like,
you were not playing tennis at this point.
Wasn't moving at all. But yeah, he was very insightful as far as his like music.
Oh, Fred. He's just he's the kindest, sweetest guy, and like
he was phenomenal, and it also just made me feel like just a dingbat that I didn't pay attention to the music at all. Like
I know. No, and it was like I did pay attention to the sitcom stuff, like the laugh track and the canned laughter and all that, but I didn't pay attention to that. So I'll have to rewatch it at some point and then see how dry it is compared to other episodes, because music is such a big part of our show.
Yeah.
Both songs specifically, score's great, but I think people talk about those songs, especially because they're missing from the DVDs. Like we said, that and he didn't know about that. So obviously, as a musician, and as a mixer now for the Arc and a bunch of other shows, that's something that's just going to automatically grab his ear. But it's always fun to get those different perspectives, because we would have gotten a totally different conversation, obviously, with a director, actor, producer, blah, blah, blah. So it was great. I loved it.
Yeah, it was great. Big fan.
All right. Well, speaking of that, I'm going to get on a private tab on Go.Go and look at Majandra's OnlyFans, her nose picking. That's my history. That's my browser history.
Girl, oh my goodness. Oh boy.
Anyways, this was fun. Right? Time to get off. Let's do this.
Go.Go.
Go.Go.
Go.Go. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
The X-Files with Majandra Delfino
and Brendan Fehr is a production of Portholes Inc. Media.
Edited and mixed by Stephen Wells.
Theme music by Fred Coury.